What's up, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to 305 Radio, a part of 305 Magazine on MiamiUndergroundRadio.com. We have jokes in the house today, but before we get to that, I want to give a huge shout out to Will, who is MIA here in the studio, but that's because he's all over being mad busy, taking lots of cool pics. I want you to follow him at livesay_media. You gotta check out his work. He is the photographer for the magazine. So we want to give a huge shout out to Will. We miss you, and we hope to have you back soon. And we're happy and proud to see all of the great work you're.
The man is busy, which is awesome. And we got more people to shout out here.
No, that's it.
No. Well, what's up,
George?
Well, yeah, this is George. Thanks for giving me the microphone. Finally.
By the way, I'm Dre.
Dre apparently feels a lot better cutting me off.
You can find me at 305_brownie on the gram.
_. So what's up? This is George, 305 Magazine, and we're here with director, writer, producer. The guy does everything in media, man. Mr. George Jokes Yanis.
Hello. How y'all doing today?
What's good, man?
Hey, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Appreciate y'all bringing me on the air.
Yes, sir. People don't know, man, but you've been directing videos and short movies and all these projects for a long time. Tell me a little bit how you got started.
Well, I kind of started when I was like 14, 15 years old. But I was way more interested in the world of acting and writing. Because a buddy of mine had a camera, and then we started making little movies when we were like 14, 15 years old. But I never touched the camera. That wasn't, at that time, I wasn't.
You were the actor.
I was an actor or a writer, one of the two. I was either helping them write the stuff or I was acting in it. And we did that for like a year or two until we pretty much played it out and kind of felt like, you know, you get a driver's license.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, girls take on a whole new importance. You know, riding around, hanging out. You know, it's Miami too, so it's like, you know, back in those days, you were 16, you start going to clubs and places where you're not even supposed to go.
You get in at ridiculous times and cause ridiculous trouble. It's awesome.
Yes, it was pretty awesome, yeah. So then, so we did that for a while, and then it was about maybe 4 or 5 years later, I was actually going to Miami-Dade, and I was actually studying music. And I was like learning how to produce.
What aspect of music though? Just like production, or?
I was learning production, and I also was taking music business because I had gotten to a situation where I was going to sell a few songs, and I kind of fucked up the deal.
You have our attention wholeheartedly.
So I kind of fucked up the deal in the sense of like I just didn't know what I was talking about, and like I wasn't doing it the proper way. So I was like, you know what? Let me go to school and like learn.
Figure out the right way of doing it.
Yeah, let me at least know what I'm doing, because it caused a little bit of, I don't want to say riff or tension, but it caused a little bit of like, you know, my friends thinking that I was the one that messed up the deal. You know what I mean? You know how it is. You know what I mean? When you're working with a group of people and all of a sudden you become the mouthpiece.
It was you.
Yeah.
It's your fault.
You ruined it.
You wore red instead of blue.
Yeah, exactly. So I saw how that thing went. So I started studying music business for a while, for like a little bit, and that made me realize I didn't want to be in music business. Like once I learned more about it, I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. And then at that time, I had always, because of the fact that I was writing, and I was also like, I used to write songs. I wrote like maybe like 500 songs in a year. It was like those things where I was like a writing addict, you know. I had a little book with me all the time. There's like, you know, before we'd have phones that we could type into, you know, I would be writing in my little book everywhere you look, you know. I mean, if I had to wait 5 minutes, boom, I pull out my little book, I write a couple bars, whatever, do what I gotta do. Sometimes I'd write.
Still dropping bars?
No.
You dropping bars? Because we got a rule about bars, bro.
No.
16.
16.
No 16s today.
Wait, sorry to cut you off, but we were actually talking last week with Garcia.
Shout out to Garcia.
He said that you guys actually had a class together.
We did, yeah.
You guys met in Miami-Dade.
Yeah, we definitely did. So in that time period, I found out that they had a writing class, but it was at the North Campus. at Miami-Dade. That's where like the film program was. So when I found out about it, I said, all right, cool, let me go check that out. And then I took I was trying to take the writing class, but then they make you take these like prerequisite courses.
Fun.
A lot of fun.
A lot of fun. But it was actually a good thing because when I took the prerequisite course, I took history of film and I like aced the class because like, you know,
You're all about it.
Yeah, I was all about it, and it was like the easiest class in the world because you basically watch movies and write book reports on movies.
You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, it's like the easiest class ever. But at the same time, like it kind of more fascinated me, the whole movie stuff. And then I ended up taking the writing class, I think the following semester after that. And then immediately from like the first week of class, they were like, yo, you need to you write like a director, you don't write like a writer. And I was like, interesting. So then, man, it was like the greatest thing ever. Like as soon as I started taking more of the film classes because it kind of grabbed me and I was like a fish in water.
Nice.
Like that's the best way I could describe it. Like as soon as like I started taking, I mean, I aced all the classes. I was killing it, and I was like,
you found it. You found what.
Yeah,
you found your niche.
Yeah, and it was like, it was so crazy how like easy it came to me. It was like I've known how to do it. Like while kids were.
It was innate.
It was the weirdest thing ever, but it was amazing. You know what I mean? And like you know, like the first day they taught us how to edit, like I knew what I was doing already. Like I could do it. It was just like boom. It was like, oh, like where like when I did music, when I was learning how to produce and learning how to do that stuff, even though I learned how to do it, it was hard.
It was a learning curve to it.
Not just a learning curve, but just like what you know. With distance now, I say I just didn't have that much natural talent at it. You know what I mean? I was like a fish in oil. You know what I mean? Like I get through, I'm swimming, but it was.
Nah, fish and oil is fricassé.
Exactly.
There's a wrap with that.
But and then from there, while I was in school, I got offered to write a screenplay for. I don't remember that there was a group called the Icons back in the day.
Yeah.
In the early 2000s.
Yeah. Give
And the cleavers would get crunked up.
Yeah. That too. But
So one of the guys that was in that was on that song, his name was Tony Mancino. He came and hired me based on a script that I wrote when I was in school. Because back in those days, I don't know if they still do it or not, but they used to publish the scripts that would get chosen to get produced. They would publish them and put them in the library.
Oh wow!
And that way, any of the students can come and read the script.
I don't think people still do that.
I don't know if they do that anymore either. I mean, they used to do that then.
It's interesting.
I mean, they probably now they probably post it online.
Yeah.
But back then it was like, you know,
Drop it.
you go to AOL chat room. You know, so he read that. He hired me to write a script. This is while I was still in school, and then on top of that, I had a girlfriend at the time that one of her uncles was a camera AC, and he hooked me up to go to a bunch of sets to go film, to like just carry cases basically. I went there just to hey, I got you, and I was just so eager.
Yeah.
Just to be on a set. It was like the first time I've ever seen like a 35 millimeter. Yeah, it's the first time I've ever seen a 35 millimeter film camera.
Oh, this is old school.
It's old school,
35 millimeter camera.
Yeah, well, I mean that's not that old school when you really think about it because they still use them, but still. Like,
but it's still old school, like now. Like,
yeah,
like
digital wasn't around like that. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I was doing all that while I was kind of finishing school because I was taking the Miami-Dade. You know, you do 5 years, you do 2 years program.
Sounds like a prison system, prison scam.
It's the normal like pretty much every day. That's kind of the way you do it. You take like 4 years to do 2 years.
Okay.
You take 2 classes a semester
It happens.
or whatever.
A class every semester or something like that. Yeah.
I was working full time too because I couldn't be broke. You know what I mean? And like.
A day in the life, man.
Exactly. Every once in a while, I would take like 3 or 4 classes at certain semesters.
Make a little to yourself.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I would take like 3 or 4 classes or whatever, and then whatever, and like I started kind of working in the industry while I was still in school. So by the time I finished originally my goal was when I went to school was to like go to NYU or to FSU, go to one of these big film schools, and I actually applied for all of them because while I was finishing up because I only had a few classes left. I remember because that was like $2,500 for me to finish. Yeah, I'll never forget that because it was like, man, $2,500, like killing me. At that time, it was like, nowadays I probably would have done it, but back then it was like, oh my God, like that was like $1 million to me.
So what was it that he told you to write? What script did you?
There was this movie called Real Hustler. It actually got distributed by Maverick. I ended up shooting that movie actually. I ended up DPing it. Like I ended up paying me to do it, and that's how I ended up getting my first camera. That's how I got like a bunch of gear.
Dope.
And I basically did it for that. Like I didn't make much money on it, especially for the amount of time I worked on it. If it was compensated by time and money, like I made nothing.
Shoot.
But getting the camera to me was like $1 million. You know what I mean?
Of course.
So I went through all that stuff, and then after just like about a year or two after getting out of school, well, I ended up not going to any of those schools because when I ended up going to visit, I went to NYU to visit it, I went to FSU to visit it, I went to LA Film School to visit it, because at the time it was like one of the bigger ones. The people that were there were like, like, why are you going to waste time going to film school? Like, you pretty much know how to do it. A lot of people were telling me that, and I was just like, after hearing a few more people say it, you know what I mean? After a couple people, you kind of convince yourself, like, you know what?
What am I doing here?
I already know how to do this. Like, this isn't. And then also, like, when I would work on sets, when I would tell them, I'm gonna try to go to FSU, this and that, they all look at me like I was retarded. They would be like, why? They're like, you're gonna be in debt.
You're already here.
You're here, and you're gonna be in debt. They're like, don't do it. And I was just like, okay, but at that time you're kind of hyped up because I'm like, I want to go to school. I want Martin Scorsese to be my teacher. I want Oliver Stone to do lectures. I want Spike Lee to grade my paper. Like I'm thinking all that stuff.
Would any of that really happen though in film school?
I mean, at NYU at that time, you would have gotten a class with Spike Lee, if you would have gone, because he was teaching at the time there.
Oh wow.
Or Oliver Stone was. I'm not sure, but I knew there was like big name, teachers there. But at the same time, it would have costed me like $350K to go out there for like.
And you were already there.
You're already on set.
I was already on set, so then it was kind of like, am I really gonna do this? And then, at that time, then I got offered to shoot the little movie. So I was like, you know what, like, I'm just gonna keep doing this until the ride kind of, till I get stuck, and then I'll go back to finish school because I still had a couple classes left. Even though I got accepted to go all of them, I could have gone to any of those schools because like Miami-Dade credits are like good credits. They transfer well to like most schools or whatever. So I was ready to go.
Dope.
And then I just said, let me just take a little break and keep working. And then I did the little movie, but still was kind of, still had one foot in the 9-to-5 world and then 1 foot in the production world. Because, like I said, I just couldn't do the whole, like, being broke thing. Like,
of course, man. No, it doesn't work for anyone.
It doesn't work. And I think also because my parents would just scare the hell out of me. You're going to be a starving artist your whole entire life. You're going to starve. So whatever. And then after that, at one point, I started directing some music videos. Which I really didn't know what the hell I was doing, because I didn't. When I went to film school, they don't teach you how to do music videos in film school.
305 Radio exclusives.
Yeah, they don't teach you how to do that. So I don't know what that is an exclusive. So I was just kind of like, okay, yeah, sure, I can make it. Actually, Garcia was like the first music video I ever did.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I did it with like a stolen camera. I had a broken leg when I did it. It was a wild adventure. And,
shout out to Garcia and the first broken leg.
Yeah, the first video with the cameraman with the
cameraman that's all handicapped.
Yeah. So I shot him a little video, but whatever. It's like it has a nostalgic quality to it, but like whatever. I didn't even know what I was doing really. And then I did a couple of things. I started building my reel with that movie that I shot. And to put you on some exclusive stuff, like, so at that time when you would shoot a video, like the 24 frame per second, which is the look that gives it like a film look, like it didn't really exist in video.
Okay.
What existed was shooting on film, which looked like film, which is 24 frames. So when you shot video, it was 29, which has like the more that news camera, live TV look. So when I had my editing system at home, which none of people had one at home, that I built myself,
For VHSs?
No, it would work with, it was like digital, it was DV at the time. But I had figured out by accident that because I didn't understand video frame rates, because I didn't study video, I studied film, that when I made a 24-frame timeline and I would drop video that came from this camera, the XO1, that was in this thing called progressive mode, which was brand new at the time. We're like, oh, progressive mode. When you would drop that on a 24-frame timeline, boom, it would look like 24-frame film.
Damn.
And I was like, am I like the only person that knows about this? Like, this looks amazing. I mean, it would go off sync a little bit after a little while, but, you know, like, if you cut the scene right, you cut it, like, nobody can really tell. Yeah, it's easy to adjust. You just have to, like, make sure you have something to cut to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
One long take ain't gonna work. But if you're cutting, like a music video cuts almost every 2 seconds, so you can get away with it. 2 seconds will ride, you know what I mean? Maybe when it gets to 4 or 5, it's just to go off a little bit, but at 2 seconds, like, it's gonna ride, it's gonna sync up.
Oh, shoot, you have gold by accident.
So I had this like thing, so I was doing a bunch of little projects. After when I discovered that, I started doing a bunch of little projects, even like stuff I was shooting, like my friend in the driveway, like if he was in a music video, I would shoot little whatever I can get my hands on that I would shoot. And I remember I ended up going to this company, Perfect Image, that they had like a bunch of music video shows that were on Mundos at that time.
Okay.
And then I went there with my demo, which was at the time on a CD-ROM.
Jesus.
It's like 2000.
Who calls it a CD-ROM at the time? Like, you don't even say CD-ROM.
Yeah, like CD-ROM like doesn't even exist. Right now, I go online on my website. But whatever, it used to come with a CD-ROM or a DVD or whatever. DVDs were barely, you could barely burn them back then. It was like hard to find that. But anyway, I went with the CD-ROM and I would show them my demo. And when I showed them my demo, they're like, yo, you shot all this stuff? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, yo, like, where'd you get filmed? Where'd you get these budgets to shoot these videos? And
these budgets?
Yeah, because at the time, if you had shot a video like that looked like that, you had a budget.
Yeah.
Because you had to shoot film.
Yeah.
So you're at least going to spend $1,000 on film, you know what I mean? At least, bare minimum. You're going to spend another $400 or $500 on camera.
And here you were rigging the system.
Seeing my little XO1 Canon camera, killing it, you know what I mean? So they were like, yo, we want to hire you immediately to like shoot a music video. So they hired me to shoot a music video. I did it under budget, turned it in 5 days early.
Damn.
They were super happy because they kind of sold it to these clients as like a Mexican banda music video. But they sold it to them like we were shooting it on film. So these guys made money, I made money, everybody made money.
Nice.
And I turned it in early and they were happy with the video and they were like, yo, this kid's like on point, like he's doing his thing right. So then they hired me to they were like, what do you want to do? Do you want to shoot or do you want to edit? Because you know how to do both. And I was like, I want to do both. I was like, I don't want to just be an editor and I don't want to just be a shooter. So they're like, all right, cool, then we're going to make you a producer. Excellent. And I was like, all right, that's a good compromise. So then they hired me to be to be a producer of this TV show called Upbeat. Okay. That Felix Sama from Power 86 back in those days. Yeah. Who's now, I think he's still on the radio nowadays.
He's somewhere on the radio.
Yeah, he's on the radio somewhere. Like that guy's a radio legend already.
For sure.
So it was the show that he was hosting. I picked it up. But when I picked up the show, like, I was kind of looking at it just as like the way it was kind of taught to me, the show, like, here you go, here's a rundown, here's this, which I didn't even know anything about because I came with the film school. I knew about stories, I knew about script structure. Here's a rundown. I'm like, the fuck is a rundown?
What is this? What are you calling me?
A rundown is when you chase somebody, isn't it? Like, no. He's got to say this, and then you got to put it here, and this is you get the timing of the video. Oh, okay. So it's kind of doing it paint by numbers and kind of just going. They were paying me crap too, so it was just kind of like, I was kind of doing kind of the minimum of what needed to be done.
Got it.
So I did like 3 or 4 of those shows, and I was just turning them in and whatever. And then I remember I would watch the shows because I didn't touch the editing on it. I would just turn the show in to the editor, and the editor would cut it. And I remember watching the shows, and I was always like, ooh, like.
See on that one, huh?
Yeah, like, ooh, I'm kind of disappointed. I felt like, it was like kind of like whatever. I was like, and then like, and then there were certain things that I did that I knew was kind of cool, and they didn't come out. So I was like, man, something's not right here. And then I started hearing because one of the things I started doing was hanging out at the office. Like the more and more I was doing shows, the more I was hanging out at the office that we worked at. And I started hearing like these little rumors that they were going to take the shows away from me because I didn't really know what I was doing yet. So I got kind of scared, and I was like, man. I was like, well, if they're going to take these shows away from me, I'm going to go down in a blazing glory. You know what I mean? Because I'm at least going to do, and really my goal was, well, at least let me do a show the way I would want to do the show. I'm not going to follow the directions anymore. I'm going to do the show so that I can show it to my friends. Because that was my thing with the first 3 that I did. I was like, I can't show this to any of my friends. They're going to laugh at me. Like,
I'm going to give them a rundown.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I'm going to, like, I wouldn't even show it to my friend. I was like, yeah, don't even look at that show. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it the way I want to do it.
Okay.
And so then I took a way more hands-on, I just did it my way. And I did that show, and then I went and I was in post-production for every single cut of the show, working with the editor this time, and like I put in way more time. Like last time, I literally put in like a day or two. Now I'm putting in the whole 5 days of the week. I put it into making that show.
How different was the final product?
100% different. Like just completely different. Night and day. Well, that show ended up coming out, and it kind of. Everybody was like really impressed because I really put in a lot of attention to detail, and I really went in. There was no reason anybody could say nothing to me. At the same time, like I did it way more my way. I made it a little bit more Anglo. I didn't follow their like conventions. I did it my way. Okay. You know what I mean? And they were like, "Oh, that came out pretty cool." Like like the rumors kind of started going away that I was going to get fired, and they kind of felt like, and I was getting a lot of like. Appreciation, like, oh, this guy you did a great job. This is amazing. Keep going, good job. So then I did 3 more shows, and then after the 3 more shows, my show ended up going #1 on the network.
Damn, homie.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
So then at that point, I became kind of like the golden child there because like, yo, this kid's got the formula. He's got to figure it out. Like, he's got to go run with it. So for the next I think it was like 52 weeks or 50 weeks, something like that.
Damn.
We were hitting, if we weren't #1, we were like #2.
But for those that don't know, Mundos was a Telemundo spin-off channel, right?
Right. It was originally I made a channel called Gems. That was like a women's network.
Right?
It was like a women's network. It was like Lifetime Telemundo in Spanish.
Okay.
But Gems wasn't working. But there was one show that was a music video show that worked on that network on Gems. So then they were splitting the network into Mundos. And using that show as kind of the flagship, and they made it kind of like, it was like a Latin MTV.
Got it.
You know what I mean? The show that I inherited was a show called Upbeat that was like the DJ culture show.
Got it.
It was mostly dance music, hip-hop, anything that like you could relate to DJ culture. Like that was a show, that's the reason why Felix Simon was hosting it.
Got it.
It was like very DJ culture. But we handled more like stuff that, to bring like the Anglo stuff or the American mainstream stuff to the Latin market. So we would do like, if LL Cool J was there, so we cover that. Yeah. And try to put a like Latin spin on it somehow.
And what an appropriate person to do so, huh?
Right, at that time, at that time I felt, but the thing that I did that was different was that at the time the people who had it before me, they really had it more of a dance vibe to it. More of a dance music vibe to it. And at that time, like the whole like breakbeat culture was kind of blowing up, and what I mean by breakbeat was like the Chemical Brothers, which is like kind of hip hop vibe. You know what I mean? Like definitely has a hip hop influence to it.
It just wasn't straight up hip hop.
It just wasn't straight up hip hop. It was more DJ stuff. You know what I mean? That's the best way I could describe it. But I started incorporating. Originally they would tell us to make the playlist of the top 40. I was like, no, man, I'm not doing it the top 40. Like those were the things I was like, no, man, I'm not doing it. Like I'm not.
Orders very well.
I mean, what I cared about at the time was I want to be able to show this to my friends. Yeah. I don't want to be able to I hated the first couple of shows. Like it was embarrassing to me to even like show this
put
thing.
your name on it.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't want to put my name on it.
I mean,
I definitely wanted to cash those checks. You know what I mean? So then once that show took off, and we were like literally for about 50 weeks, almost a whole year of just, running number one, I was literally becoming way more important in the company. And then Telemundo comes and NBC comes and buys Telemundo. Like right when my show's killing it. So then they're like, yo, everybody be careful. Oh my God, NBC just bought Telemundo. What are we going to do? They might close down Mundo, so what are we going to do? And then the NBC guys were like, yo, the number one show on your network is pretty much in English. So then they were like, yo, we're going to make Mundos bilingual. So then they flew me out to LA. I went to NBC over there on Bob Hope Drive. And I sat down with NBC, and they're basically like, well, we like the format that you created for this thing. We're going to turn this, we want you, the guys, to turn this into a 2-hour live show every night.
Not bad.
5 days a week. And we want you to make like a flagship show for the network, and it's going to be based on like the concept that you created there.
How long did that last?
That show lasted about 3-4 years. And then that show premiered, I remember, because it premiered on my birthday. Okay. Of 2003.
All right.
So then that year, in 2003, after the show premiered, because then we made this new show, which was called The Roof.
I remember The Roof.
Yeah, which was the show.
When's your birthday?
December 9th.
Oh, there you go.
So after the show got on the air, and I was running it pretty much until March. But as a creative director, I was pretty much, I'm credited as a creative producer on the show, but I was pretty much essentially what a creative director does. I was coming up with all the concepts. I wrote the original pilot script.
You were doing everything.
That's
I don't want to say, I don't want to say I was doing everything, but I was I was the main creative person, one of the main creative people. I'm saying that a lot of people participate. It's a big show at that point. There's a lot of people that get involved at that point. You know what I mean?
I mean, from those beginnings, fast forward.
Right.
Let's fast forward a little bit.
Okay.
So you went from home, like local videos.
Yeah.
Just winging it.
Yeah.
You started. You got into a network. You got a #1 rated show. It ran for a few years.
Yeah.
Then you got into movies.
Right.
So.
Well, I mean, one of the things that to go into the movies, what led into that was, while I was doing that TV show where we were setting it up, I had also there was a song from this guy Don Dinero.
Don Dinero.
It was called Pana Pana. And he had came on to do we had did this pilot that we would turn into the network to show them, hey, look, this is what the show's going to look like. You do it's like a test pilot.
Yeah.
He had came on to do the test pilot. And when he came on to do the test pilot, which was my script that I wrote, we hit it off with him and his brother Oscar. So they were like, yo, we want to do a video for the song Pana Pana because it's doing really well, but we think the video's going to put it over the top.
Okay.
And I was like, yo, I want to do that. I'm down. You know what I mean? At that time, I had done a couple more videos. I was a little bit more confident in doing music videos. Plus, I was playing all these music videos, so I had studied them a lot more.
Yeah.
Because I was always studying, what were the cooler music videos, because I was playing them. And I wasn't, like I said, I didn't do the list that they would, here, do the top 40. No. I'm digging in the crates.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm finding stuff that nobody else has because I wanted to make sure I had something unique. So then I'd shoot that music video, and that song, boom, pops off, #1 song on the tropical charts.
Nice.
So this is all happening and then The Roof is launching off, and it's so I have the show that I'm the creative director for, and then that song is blowing up and hitting #1 on our charts, on our show, because it's the #1 song on the tropical charts.
Got it.
So all that good stuff is happening. So now a bunch of record labels are showing me attention because not only am I the creative director of this TV show, but I'm also the guy who just shot this video that they think is hot because the video came out banging.
Of course, yeah.
So after about a year and a half, I ended up moving to LA for a while. After that, they were like, we want you to, once they had the show running and I already had turned over, because I had literally created so much content, concepts and stuff like that. And we had the team kind of in place to have all those, things in place. I ended up going to LA to start developing shows over there.
Nice.
For that company, for Perfect Image, the company that produced the show.
Yeah.
over there in LA. But when I was in LA, I started noticing that they started pushing me more to be like a dude in an office. You know what I mean? Like, yo, yeah, I have the writers meeting on Monday, but then after that, I'm pretty much in the office. Maybe I go out 1 day a week to shoot. I hated it. Like, I wanted to be out there shooting. I wanted to be, I wanted to hold the camera. I wanted to be not that I was a DP, but I wanted to shoot. You know what I mean? I wanted to direct. I wanted to tell people what to do on stage. And I wasn't really getting an opportunity to do that as much anymore because the shows now were a live show. You're not, that wasn't really the style that I was into. I was into, more like the music video stuff. And I was getting offered so many music videos that I was trying to do some on the weekends and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Part-time from the show. So at one point, because I didn't really like the way the guy who was the producer of that TV show was kind of running his business. Mm-hmm. And I kind of felt like, man, I'm kind of like, giving you the goods and you're like not giving me the goods, you know what I mean? And like, you're not really taking care of me that much. Mm-hmm. And I'm not getting to do what I really want to do. So I ended up, when the show was like getting the best ratings that it could possibly get, when it was like, Mundos is like, getting articles. It was actually what really inspired me to get off that show. Mm-hmm. Was when there was a thing that came out about it being like, yo, Mundos is like doing as good as Telemundo. There was an article that came out. I don't remember if it was in the New Times or one of these. It was in a newspaper somewhere that was like, yo, this show is doing as good as Telemundo numbers, and it's on like the small cable little sister channel of Telemundo.
Dope.
So when I saw that, I said, I'm out of here.
Why?
Because
before the ball drops, right?
Exactly.
Wow.
Meanwhile, it's on top. You get the best offers you can get. You got a number one show out right now.
There you go.
I'm feeling like LeBron at that point. You know what I mean? So.
LA, here I come.
Really, I was already in LA. I was already living there. So then I just said, you know what? I'm out. I'm gonna go freelance and start doing all these music videos because other people were offering me music videos. Mm-hmm. So then, boom, I hit the ground running with the music videos.
Okay.
So then at that point, within that little, I mean, literally from that point on, I hook up with a buddy of mine. We make a little production company, and we just start doing all these like Latin rap videos. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're just turning them shits out, like boom, boom. Like every week we're like 2-3 videos. We're just knocking them out. We're just going hard. And at one point, I get the Mayday CeeLo video.
That's right.
With the Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
So then that blows up. It gets like 2 million hits, something like that, overnight.
Yeah, that was the biggest views in the shortest amount of time.
Yeah, before Google had bought YouTube, it was like the #1 video on YouTube for a hot minute. So like that got me a lot of attention. That got me an agent in the music video world. I started working with T-Pain a little bit. I started working with all these like different artists. I was getting, quickly. It just kind of happened like from, the other show launched in 2003. Mm-hmm. This is 2005, 2006.
Nice.
You know what I mean? I'm like already getting more into the...
So your momentum is
on fire.
Is on fire. You're just moving forward with everything.
And I was literally like in production. You know what I mean? Like where you're constantly in production. I was pretty much in production from like, from the time I was at the Telemundo vibe all the way to then till about 2006, 2007. Mm-hmm. And then that's when they kind of like I had gotten up to the point where I had did like a Mike Jones video and I had did a Slim Thug video. Okay. They were big budget videos, or at least back then they were virals.
Yeah.
But they're like $85,000, $55,000 budgets, and they were virals because everybody else was spending $200, $250, $300. So then the market kind of fell, and I was kind of like, well, now you have to go back to doing like these smaller budget videos. Mm-hmm. And then that just didn't appeal to me because I was like, man, I spent all this time working my ass off to now go backwards. That didn't make sense to me. Mm-hmm. So I ended up getting a job editing this TV show called Gabriel that was on that channel Mega.
Okay.
And
La Mega.
And when I edited that show, we ended up winning Emmys. Mm-hmm. That's how I won the Emmy.
That's how you got your Emmy. Was
editing that show. That was my first professional editing job. I never edited. Like, I would edit a lot of my own stuff, but that was the first time I had edited. One of the first time I edited narrative professionally, besides like my own little movies that I would do. Uh-huh. So it was the first time I edited professionally as an editor. Like, not as the director who's going to sit there and edit it because the editor's not doing a good job.
Yeah.
Right, my official title was an editor the first time ever.
Well, since you did mention your own movies, let's talk about your own movies here.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm leading into.
That's what I want to get into. I want to get into this.
That's what's leading into. So after I did that TV show, when we were wrapping up the edits on that TV show, it was done. Mm-hmm. The director of that TV show was like, "Yo, what are you gonna do now?" And I was like, "Oh, I guess I'm just gonna go back to like directing music videos." And he was like, "Dude," because I told him what was going on with the market, and he knew what was going on. Everybody knew what was going on with the music game. And he was like, "This is your moment to do the switch." He's like, "Switch to narrative, because that's what you really want to do." He goes, "If your biggest dream is a moon man, stick to the music videos and do exactly what Hype Williams did and go back and like do smaller videos. If your goal is to win an Oscar or the Spirit Award or any of that other stuff, or if your goal is to make narrative stuff,
don't now.
Go do it now. Because if not, you're just holding yourself back." And I agree with that. And I thought that was a good thing. And so that from that point on, when I left that show at the end of 2008, I went headfirst into narrative world.
What was your first narrative? Your first...
Well, then I did a short film called Vladimir's Vodka right after that.
Okay.
So after I finished that TV show, all the lessons I learned off the TV show, all the stuff I learned off of narrative, because I get to see the footage. Mm-hmm. You get to see like the right way, the wrong way. You learn a lot. Plus I'm also like, I'm kind of a sponge that's always like, I would always study writing because writing was always my first. That's what got me into film. Mm-hmm. So I was always studying writing. I read tons of books. I went to seminar. I went to Robert McKee's seminar, the one they make fun of in that movie adaptation.
I haven't seen it.
I did like everything you could think of. Like whenever there was a writing course or writing something, I would always like, "Yo, I got to do it. I take that course. I want to learn more. I want to learn more. I want to learn more." That's actually what helped me with the editing a lot more was because I had a steady diet of studying writing. You know what I mean? And that helped a lot with the editing because you have a better idea of how to tell a story.
Yeah.
And I consider the like editing as like the last version of the script.
Makes sense.
Know what I mean?
It makes sense.
So then, so as soon as I got done with that thing, me and Jay Bishop, we were the guys that were making films when we were 14, 15 years old. Mm-hmm. He was the other actor that was working with me.
Jay Bishop is funny, man.
Yeah, he's incredible. I said to him, "Hey, let's make a short film. Let's make a short film," and we made Vladimir's Vodka,
which was funny.
Which is funny.
Yeah.
And that came out. We dropped it. It played in a bunch of film festivals. It got a bunch of hits online because that was in the Wild West days when like Facebook didn't throttle how many people could see your shit. So like I dropped it, got 22,000 views in a day. It was amazing. And then because of that film, and then a couple other projects that I edited Magic City Memoirs. It's on Netflix right now.
Yes.
I edited another movie that's out internationally as well. And the guy who financed the other movie that got distributed, he told me, "Hey man, you're so talented, and I love your short film. You need to make a feature film." And he gave me the shot to make Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo.
Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo was dope as fuck.
Yeah.
That is fire.
So then that movie got done in 2013. It got released. Mm-hmm. Well, in 2014 it got really released. 2013 was when it came out in the film festivals. And then by 2014 it got its international distribution. And it's still going out there.
Which Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo could be, I have it on the website, 305magazine.com. Plug.
Right. Exactly. We did some, we talked about it. We did you did a couple stories on it.
Yeah, it was really impressive.
Yeah.
To be honest, the story-wise, it was just left field.
Yeah.
Left field.
Because we're running short on time, and I know we could sit here forever
talking
about stuff.
I wanted to talk about Mob King.
We're
going to talk about all of this, but before we do that, please let everybody know where they can find you and where they can find your information, whether it's online, social media.
Well, I have a website. It's jokesflick.com.
Okay.
And you can find me on socials, on Instagram or Twitter is @jokesflick.
Okay.
I also have the YouTube Jokes Filmmaker.
There you go. So
all right, I'm going to take the reins on this one.
Oh man.
We're going to talk about Toyd.
Okay.
Well, actually, let's do Mob Kings.
Mob King, that's the Mob King,
man.
man.
Toyd, and then we're gonna finish it off with Graph Origins, 305 Graph
Cool.
Origins.
Which, by the way, we have Miami Underground Film Festival outside, about to come in real soon.
Okay.
They want to talk about, they want to say what's up and they have
And
something
somebody
for us.
got an award, or some sort of award.
Ooh, super
Put
dope
it next
stuff.
to the what is it, the Grammy?
The Emmy.
The Emmy.
I don't know, he got a Grammy too.
So-
Grabbing bars.
So grab them reins.
So Mob Kings, let's talk about Mob Kings.
Let's do it. Let's talk about
Give me all the exclusives, because I know that you're
Man.
the mastermind right now.
Mob King, tell me, man.
Ask me what
So-
you want to know.
All right, so Mob King, real quick. It's old school gangster type of main character that
Right.
he gets out of prison. He has to deal with life outside, and he thinks everyone's an idiot because they don't know how to really do anything wrong right. So
Kind of, yeah.
I mean, like, and I know the story is it started off one way. It's a pilot series.
Right.
It's a web-based series. Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, basically, it was the guy Cyril DiPaggio, him and Anthony Caroni, who was an actor in my movie Eeny Meeny Miny Mo. They had approached me about doing a sizzle reel for the show, and I really wasn't interested in doing the sizzle reel. But I was because they're my friend. Well, because Anthony was my friend. I didn't really know Cyril yet. I was like, sure, I'll give you help. I'll give support because I'm like that. You know what I mean? Like, if me and you're cool, like, I'm gonna give you support and give you whatever. And also there was a possibility of a job there. You know what I mean? Of something to work on. So after a while of like helping them kind of develop a series, and I got my boy Jay to work on it, on some of the scripts and whatnot. We were like going to do the tradition. Originally, we were going to do the traditional route, which is you do a sizzle reel, you write a pilot, you write a Bible for the thing, and you try to sell that project. But I just went through the whole project. I just had right before that, I had another project called Instant Gratification. That I had some named players on it who are now named players. At the time, they were still not known yet. That I got optioned from the Stars Network. But I went through like a whole 10-month process of just basically developing with them and then them passing on it. So I was just like, I don't want to go the traditional route. Like it doesn't make sense to sit there and have something on hold for 10 months. And then also Cyril being so excited about this project that it was coming together, he had made a fan page for it on Facebook, which kind of ended up turning into a mob genre fan page.
Yeah.
And it just took off. It just took off. People were just going there. Got up to 40, 50,000 followers. Just literally because people were just they would post a picture of John Gotti on there. And,
Mobsters,
and everybody would get into little fights on there. And Samuel Bull was a rat. And then he was the biggest rat ever. They should kill him. And, just people would get into all these things. And the page had this momentum to it. So I had told them, hey, we got to turn this into a web series. That's the way to go about it. You have an audience there. And and Anthony and Cyril were both like, you know what? This is actually a good idea. I think that could work. So first we ended up doing a trailer, which is kind of a truncated version of what the series would look like, just to kind of, at first it wasn't even for sure we were even going to put it out.
Just to test the waters. And
just to see, does this guy work on camera? We had been doing a bunch of practicing. I mean, Cyril took his shit serious, which I respected a lot. That's what kept me there, because I wasn't getting paid nothing at that time.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? At the moment, I'm not getting paid anything. It's I'm investing my time.
It's like a passion project.
Oh, a passion project for them. For me, it was just it wasn't really my passion. You know what I mean? At least at the moment, it wasn't. But but then my friends, or they became my friends. So it did become more passionate. You become more engaged into it because you want you want them to succeed because I see how hard they're working.
Yeah.
So we ended up shooting the trailer, and it came out pretty badass. And we put the trailer out because it was let's show the world this, you know what I mean? So let's put it up on the page and see what we get. And it got 122,000 views, super fast.
It's fresh.
And mad comments. I mean, there was I don't know, 2,000, 3,000 comments on it that were yo, we want to, when is this coming out? What channel? My favorite comment, what channel? Because it just, it makes you feel good. It looks so official. But they're what channel? You know what I
Which
mean?
channel? I wanna
Like,
see
they
it
can
now.
imagine it just be on Facebook.
Yo, that whole series. Like I know it's web based. You could catch it on your.
Right.
You can see it on your Vimeo,
Right, yeah.
or you could see it where else.
I mean, it's on the webpage. Yeah,
I have it on 305magazine.com. But it's like The Godfather nowadays.
Right, exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
and don't think. Hey, I caught on to the last episode what he did with that girl.
Right.
And that was vicious.
Right.
Vicious. I'm not gonna spoil it, but it's so dope, yo. Listen, man. See, I gotta have round of applause for you guys because that's such a dope series. And then now you have a second season. First season because I was a pilot.
Right. So now, we did the first 5 episodes, and I mean, literally the way that it was done, just so people understand, like that it wasn't a thing that was like, it was kind of planned out because we had an idea where we were going with it, but literally it was like, when we did the first one, it was like, we're just doing the first one. Then when we did the second one, I was the one that said, listen, for the cost you could do 1, we can kind of do 2. It's not that much more to do 2. So if you really think we're going to do a second one, let's do a second and third one. So it's like, all right, cool, let's do a second and third one, which we did. And we did that. And then the second and third ones came out, and they did really well. So then it was like, let's do a 4th and 5th.
Yes.
So then we did the 4th and 5th. After we did the 5th one, we were gearing up to do 45 more of them.
45, man.
Which we actually had secured the financing to do 45 more of those
Fire.
episodes.
That is dope.
I mean, literally, we had it. Like, literally, the guy turned over the cash to do the 45 episodes.
What changed?
And what changed was this Chinese finance company from Spain came in and said, we want to buy the whole thing and we want to turn it into like a real series on TV with Canal Plus attached to it and blah, blah, blah. So then we were like, do we still go and do the 45 more episodes or do we put this thing on pause? And at first, in the beginning of it, we were still going to go. Because we were like, what happens if this deal...
you can, right?
So let's see if this deal falls apart, because just the beginning of it started like already when we had the financing to go forward. We actually started shooting the first couple pieces for the next 45 episode run. And then, literally like the week after we shot that, it was like, yo, put that on pause, like these guys are for real.
Wow. And now it's legit.
And now it's pretty legit. I mean, there's still...
I don't know. There's a lot of buzz already.
Hold up. I'm gonna go grab these dudes, man. But,
Okay, cool.
yo, I gotta tell you.
Go grab them, but we're going to talk about Toy. Because I
Toy,
think that
super
was
dope.
so well put together.
Thank
I
you.
was very pleasantly surprised.
Thank you.
And I must admit, I wanted it to be longer.
Yeah.
At the end, I was just like, well, why is it over?
Right. Well, see, the thing is that actually comes from... So me and Jay Bishop, we have wrote a feature film script. That's what Toy is based on. So we had wrote that originally, and that's what we were originally, that's what I was looking for. I was trying to raise money for that. That was going to be my next feature after I had did, after I did Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo.
Right.
But, I wanted it to get, like, when I did Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo, even though I think it came out cool, like, I went into that movie more as a producer than I would say as a director. And what I mean by that was, what's up, guys? I just wanted to...
Welcome, Miami Underground.
So we have here, I'm sorry, this is Miami Underground Film Festival.
So, like I said, I was more concerned, like at the time I was more concerned about like production value and making it look big and like making it look like a movie that costed way more than it did, which it did turn out that way. So I did feel happy that I succeeded in that department, but I didn't feel like I got my rocks off as a director. Like in certain parts I did here and there, but like not really. I was more learning to be a director on that movie.
Dope.
You know what I mean? And then after I did that, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do something that because the movie was more, because it had like the selling points and all this, I was like, I want to do something that more is near and dear to my heart. So then me and Jay Bishop wrote Logo Crew, which is the feature version of Toy, in a sense. And I was shopping that script for a hot minute. And then the opportunity came to make it as a short film with Stephen Bauer and all these, different things that just literally just snowballed from, hey, let's make it.
Came together.
It was like originally a short film that I was going to do with like, let's grab a camera, let's just do it, we'll figure it out how to do it, we'll do it for nothing, to like all of a sudden there's a financier coming in to put money up for it, and like Stephen Bauer saying, yeah, I want to do this, it sounds awesome.
It's amazing.
I enjoyed it so much, and like I said, like I
Thank you.
didn't want it to be over. I wanted to continue, and I was making up all these scenarios in my head. So
Right. That was kind of part of the plan, was to make you feel like,
continuation.
I mean, kind of, yes, because that story literally is like, it would take place, let's say, in the way the feature film is, it would take place like this, like a few months before the events of the feature film.
Yeah, that's like a small piece of that big arc, right?
It's like the backstory almost. It was like the backstory of the character that we already had created. It was kind of like, well, let's make
I
that.
cannot wait.
Yeah,
So
man.
hopefully I'll get to make that soon.
Man, so
Go ahead.
no, you go ahead. So I mean, now we have Andrew from the Miami Underground Film Festival, and Andrew's friend Dan. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. And
good to be
this is
back.
Jokes. Yeah, man. Thanks for coming. How was the Miami Underground Film Festival? How was it?
We had a great turnout. It was a wonderful show. Dan was actually on the panel with me picking the films.
Awesome.
So that's why I brought him in here.
Dope.
And we had a wonderful award ceremony called the Circle Jerk Awards.
Saw that. Saw that. The best name, obviously the best name for it.
It's the most honest name I've come up with on an award show.
It really is. I love that.
At first I was like, wait, is this a joke?
I read it. I was like, hey, I could get down with this.
We were very selective about what we actually showed at the film festival. We went through hundreds of different films, and so the stuff we picked was the stuff that we thought deserved to be shown. So they're all winners. So we didn't tell people that ahead of time. So they're all waiting, this is like thinking they're competing. It's like, no, we made up awards specifically for each one of you.
that's
and so
amazing.
you get it custom tailored.
Nice.
So, Jokes, we have the best traditional graffiti documentary for 305 Graph Origins.
Awesome.
You get your certificate, and then you've got your actual Circle Jerk Award.
Yeah. Wow, it actually has a real.
Damn, a Circle Jerk Award.
Congratulations.
It's got like a baby.
Jerk.
For the radio audience, it's a really disgusting looking thing we can't say over the air.
For those of you that don't know, the Circle Jerk Award is a thumbs up with a penis. Thumbs up, good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That is amazing.
It's gonna go right next to the Emmy.
Hell yeah.
It's like, I might go right under the Emmy, just like.
That is fresh.
Can we get a close-up of that?
Go
for
for
our
it.
live?
That is amazing. That is amazing.
Hey, thank you, man. Bobbleheads next year.
Oh my
We
God.
spoke about that, and we're talking about the Miami
Really appreciate it, man. Thank
Film
you.
Festival and this awesome award that you have been awarded, which is like right next to your Emmy.
Where?
Maybe in front of it.
Or from the back, whatever. However the Emmy wants it.
However it feels at the moment.
Can we please talk about Graph Origins and why you decided to even do this project, which I'm so glad you decided to.
She was fresh.
Cool. Thank you. So basically, how that began was actually I was talking with you, with George,
Yeah.
with Struck, and so when I wrote Toyd, one of the things that I was really curious about, because since it was like, as far as the feelings of the character and what they were going through, that's all stuff I went through when I was a kid in the graffiti world. But I never became one of those. I never was one of those guys that was like these legends that I knew. You know what I mean? Like the Mirrors and the Cap and all these guys who just had mad fame. I never got to those heights. You know what I mean? Because I was more broad in the sense that I would do more arts. I was into hip hop. I was like one of the guys in the culture. I wouldn't call myself like a leader in that game. Mm-hmm. But the way the story was written, it's definitely somebody who's way more like focused on that. So I was really curious at that time of like talking to some of these people to see what they're talking to some of these guys who at that time when I started like thinking about it, like that era never really got documented.
Not at all.
Like no, it's like almost like a forgotten era. You know what I mean?
It
Like
was kind of off limits. It was a lot more danger back then.
oh,
you know?
totally, yeah. And just there wasn't like how it wasn't like how it is nowadays, where everybody has a camera on their phone and like
Yeah, we picked it because it was a hidden history, basically, which, I mean, I've seen all the graffiti everywhere, too, and I'm like, oh, wow, that's why that happened.
right, exactly. So like it was one of those things where it's like, you know, you know, it was like one of these like time warp kind of things. So I remember I went to LA for a while. I remember I came back and all of a sudden like graffiti was hot again. And I remember graffiti had kind of died out because the cops were like all over your ass back in those days. You know what I mean? And by the time I left and come back, like all of a sudden this Wynwood thing is sprouting up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, and all those old writers, they had all their pieces up out there. They were killing it out there before it became.
Before it was what it is.
Yeah, it was on a warehouse. It was on a shoe factory. You know what I mean? It was like, it was literally factories that were there because it wasn't all the stuff that's there now. It wasn't galleries and all stuff. It was all factories and workers. And I remember in the daytime there was traffic and a little bit of movement. As soon as this 5 o'clock hit, there was a ghost town.
Gone.
So whatever. So like seeing that, I was like, and I remember just when I was thinking about the movie and like wanted to do research and people finding out about it, I was like, man, there's like a whole like black hole of history from like, you know, of Miami graffiti. It's like,
Of all perspectives in that area.
yeah, like
I still don't know who Crook Chrome is. I wanted to make a movie or something about it, but I cannot find anything
it's
about
hard.
it.
Yeah, there's like one
For
little.
those who don't know, he was a guy who tagged up every road sign, I believe, from Homestead all the way up through West Palm.
It was actually two guys. Crook and Crow.
See, I didn't know that.
See,
It's this imaginary, you know, these mythical characters.
I remember that. And
Welcome to Crook Chrome in every sign.
and that was the era where nationally people found out that people in Miami did graffiti because they were like, the first time we have $1 million bond on the graffiti artist, first time, and everybody in America was talking about it. I was like on like
how does that happen?
like
$1 million
like Tom Brokaw was talking about it.
I couldn't figure out how he was getting up there without being seen. It was just like, they're like ninjas up there. It's just amazing.
It is really dope.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a really good story the way it
It really
worked
is.
out.
So, like I said, that era that was in that, it really fascinated me because that was the era that I was a graffiti artist in.
Yeah.
So I basically was like, I want to interview these guys because nobody is. Nobody is. Nobody's showing these guys like the respect, and they're the ones who kind of like sparked off.
They look at me like I'm crazy when I describe Crook Chrome or any of these situations. It's no way.
If you pulled out the articles, it's insane.
Barely anything. Barely any mention.
Yeah.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard to find stuff
It's all
about
from the
it.
police, blotter. And
Right.
Yeah.
I was actually at Wynwood Brewing earlier today, and they have a beer called Pennant over there.
Which is awesome.
Yes.
That's awesome.
And I asked the bartenders, like, you know what the history is behind that? And they're like, no. And I'm like, all right, I know because I saw 305
Exactly. So those are the things. It was like there was like this history that I wanted to kind of preserve, and also because I thought, well, if I make this feature film, like I want people to know that I didn't make all this shit up. Like I didn't.
These are real stories.
Yeah, there's like a real story. So I wanted to validate it a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, at the same time, I was my original intentions, which I remember me and you talked about this
Yeah.
when I first. I said I just want to talk to these guys because nobody's like there is no history of it, and I want people to see it. And for me, on a side note, I wanted to like kind of like just feel the vibe and see what their thought process was, and see if I was completely off base.
You were on the money.
I was on the money.
Yeah.
What's the name of the movie? The larger arc?
The feature, it's called Local Crew.
So the local crew, when we spoke about it,
Right.
you hear this whole arc and you're like, God, that's a fresh ass story, man. I want to see it. But then the whole story was, let's interview these people and let's see how legit and on the money. All these stories were on the money, man.
It's not like
It's not something you can like find on Google, believe it or not.
It's not
And
good.
the artists
You have to find out who got arrested, and if they were willing to talk, great.
That's
If
the
not,
thing. Not all of them are willing to talk about it.
a lot of them are
They
reformed.
talk
and
about it, but they'll be
There are
like,
teachers now, with respectable careers.
Yeah.
I thought more people's faces would be covered than there were.
Well, a lot of guys now are grown-ups, and they're like they transitioned into becoming real artists. And that's something that we kind of look for too, because that kind of fit into the theme that I was looking for. Because throughout my career in film, I would constantly meet, like I would write on a slate, and somebody would see and be like, "Oh, you used to tag. I can tell by your hand. I can tell by your handwriting." And I'd be like, "Oh, you used to write too." And then I would meet guys in California, guys in New York, guys in Houston that all were into graffiti and that were in the entertainment industry. And like they weren't losers. They weren't. You know what I mean? Like I remember back in the days, they made us feel like you keep doing that, you're gonna be an effing loser.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
it's the worst.
And it was almost like the opposite. It was like because of that, a lot of these guys who could have easily, because you remember how it was back in the days when we, it was.
They shamed you for everything.
They questioned me once because I had a sketchbook.
Right.
That's it.
Well,
Yeah.
What are you doing? What are you tagging?
Yeah,
Is that your wall?
What are you doing with the black book?
Yeah, the black book. Or if you had, God forbid, if you had any Sharpies on you. Oh,
my
boy,
God.
forget it.
Yeah, no, that's the best. No, but see, that's the thing. Like, when you interview everyone and you see where, how that was a stepping stone to where they're at now.
Right.
These guys are graphic artists. They have their own businesses.
Everything's covered. Exactly. Now.
And the thing is that, almost like on some Karate Kid kind of shit, like that journey for them to do graffiti, like, taught them discipline, like it did for me. It taught me, like, a discipline that was, like, which maybe is the reason why I say, like, that's the reason why when I got into production, I was, like, a fish in water, because it was, like, the same thing.
Fresh, yeah.
Because, like, when you go to do a movie, you go and you location scout. When you're going to go tag some shit, you're going to go location scout. You know what I mean?
You also learn how to finish deadlines real quick.
Yeah. Totally. Right, and it's something that you want to put up on a wall or whatever on something so people could see it. So, like, there's visual communication involved. And, so, like, doing a wall, which is, like, what those guys call a production these days. Back then, we never called it just doing a piece. But, later on, it became doing a production. Like, that taught me, like, made when I got into production, like, I felt like a fish in water.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, so that's... So in a sense, like, Logo Crew and Torrid is kind of like my love letter to graffiti, because that's what kept me from, because I used to be a kid that would scrap and do all that kind of stuff and get in trouble and sell a little bit of dope and do all kinds of stuff, because it was just what you did in that era, because it wasn't even a big deal back then. You just did it.
Yeah.
It was just like, you're part of Mad Max. So, you know what I mean? You're in Mad Max, so you're going to live Mad Max.
Well, forever. Well, let me tell you, man. I thank you for making me a part of the Graph Origins, man.
Oh, no,
That's
no,
super dope, man. And thanks for Brownie for jumping in here, for jumping in the mix on a few things on the doc as well. And man, we're out of time. Like, that sucks, man. Like, I
You
really.
guys gotta come back again.
We need to do this Joe Rogan 3-hour, 4-hour missions, I'm telling you. But for the most part, I just want to say thank you for Jokes coming out, giving us a quick, an extensive rundown in the industry and how you came up.
Yeah.
I mean, shoot, man, you got to stay tuned for all the projects you got coming out. How do we find you on social media, websites, and everything? You want to give it a one more shout
You
out?
can go to jokesflick.com. That'll take you to my website, wherever it has, like, a bunch of the stuff I've done. I think I haven't even updated it in a while, but it's been updated at least frequently enough that you can see a lot of stuff I'm doing. And then online, I'm on Instagram, I'm JokesFlick. On Twitter, I'm JokesFlick. On Facebook, I'm Jokes Filmmaker.
We tag everyone on our IG, so if you have no idea, just check our IG, 305 Radio, and just follow the tags everywhere. Andrew, Miami Underground Film Festival. What's up, man? Where do we find you?
You can find us at MiamiUndergroundFilmFestival.com. You can find us on Instagram at Miami Underground Film Festival, as well as on Facebook. And this Friday, we are going to be at Churchill's doing a David Bowie tribute.
That's right.
If you guys want Miami Underground Film Festival T-shirts, we're going to have them available there.
Awesome.
And if you want to see us playing a bunch of David Bowie songs, come on out this Friday.
That is what's up.
Real quick, what made you guys start the Miami Underground Film Festival?
We wanted to showcase a bunch of local talent, because we've got a lot of it and we're not showing enough of it. There's too much in the way of of exteriors being shot down here and then everything being done in a soundstage somewhere else. And we're
Gotcha.
like, no, we should be doing stuff here. We have the talent.
Totally.
Dope.
And plus, we wanted to get our own film in, so.
Shit, there you go. Obviously that too. You got to massage that in at the end.
Man, but look,
Congratulations.
No, but that's the way to
on
do
your
it.
Success, guys, and much
Thank you.
love and blessings on all of your future projects. Make sure you guys subscribe to those exclusives. Let's go get that award, guys, for all of my filmmakers.
The festival will be back next year.
Make sure you guys hit us up
Good,
at 305 Radio on the gram. If you miss any of the information for Jokes or for Miami Underground Film Festival, we'll be happy to provide you guys with that information, and you can catch us here on Miami Underground Radio every Monday, 8 to 9 p.m. live.
we